Hari Om, Viva.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. How are you, Ma?
Thank you.
Good.
Namaste, Vibhaji.
Namaste, Maltaji.
Hari Om, Vibhaji.
Hari Om, Jyotiji. Yeah, Swami is
Namaste.
coming within 5 minutes.
Okay.
With some work, so he's coming within 5 minutes.
Yeah, no problem. Hari Om. How are things with you all okay?
Yeah, God's and Guru's grace, everything is going.
Are you located in Pune?
Yes, I'm located in Pune.
But Swamiji is located in Bombay.
Bombay, yes. Mumbai, yes.
So, did you get the permit for the new ashram or not yet?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
It's going on. Yeah, not yet.
Swamiji said he is waiting for that to plan his trip to USA.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. It's a little bit of struggle.
So sad, it is taking time.
God's wish, it must be something good for us. Who knows?
That is absolute surrender. That is what
Yes.
we have to do, right?
Yeah, and it should be like that only.
Okay.
All teachings takes us to that only. Then why not wait? So we are tested more, I think.
Yeah, it is so simple, but every so often when it comes to ourselves, we
Yeah.
fail to surrender.
रजनी जी हरिओम.
Hari Om.
आपका माइक बंद है.
Telling somebody, but
हरिओम विभा जी.
हरिओम जया जी हरिओम.
मुझे आप जयश्री बोले इसके लिए मैंने तो
अच्छा. Yes. Yes, Swami ji has come.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Sorry, there was some delay. I misplaced my glasses. So this is some alternative glasses. Luckily, I found this somewhere. If I didn't get this also, then I think I can manage without glasses. But it would have looked rather odd. All right, we'll start in a minute. Some green tea is good before talking about attachment.
And you're attached to your glasses.
That's just one of the 1,000 things.
You should know.
So if there are some 35 participants now, I am attached to all these 35 also. Okay, so that's it. Are organizers ready?
Yes, Swami ji. YouTube is also ready. Yes.
Okay.
Pranam Swami ji. Let's start.
Right. Closing one unnecessary. Okay, now I should be. Almost there. कर्पूरगौरं करुणावतारं संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So here we are to share some thoughts on and now a topic of much interest to everybody, I am sure, and that is no other than attachment, possessiveness, etc. By etc. we mean all other mental modes. So let me go to the first slide of just a few slides that we have made to convey. Here we are. I hope it is visible. You are able to read. POI Forum is glad to present Webinar number 243 on this day, April 23, 2023. Attachment, possessiveness, etc. I believe in modern psychology, attachment is classified into many kinds. I don't know Western psychology so much, hope to study it sometime, but we are going to take a look at this issue of attachment from the point of view of Indian philosophy, especially the spiritual philosophy as presented in the Bhagavad Geetā, in the Upanishads, and so on. This little graphic here is supposed to indicate 3 or 4 kinds of attachments, distinguished by green and brown, red, and so on. But let's go ahead. What is attachment? Is the first question. As we have put it in the synopsis that went to all of you, attachment is a universal psychological phenomenon. Nobody under the sun is free from attachment, except those illumined ones who are 1 in a million or 1 in a 10 million or something like that. In Sanskrit, we have quite a few words to imply attachment. Rāga, sanga, rakti, mamatā, mamatva, mamakāra, sneha, abhisneha. And as I was picking up a quote from Adi Shankaracharya this evening from Bhagavad Geetā Bhashya, he says, rasa also means rāga. Rasa shabdaha rāge prasiddhaha, he says while commenting on the Sthita Prajna Lakshanas, where Sri Krishna says, even those who practice a lot of austerities cannot be free of raga. They feel that they have overcome everything. They feel that their attachments have vanished, but in the form of rasa. And that's where Adi Shankara says, rasa shabdaha rage prasiddhaha. And he further says that this rasa is very strong. To quote him, he says, I want to fix it. That should be in second chapter. Okay. Rasa shabdo rage prasiddhaha. He gives some examples of the use of the word rasa also in the sense of raga in some literature of those times. Swarasena pravrittaha, or someone who is very attached to dance and music, this and that is called a rasika. That word is very much in many other Indian languages. Someone who is a connoisseur of arts and even good food and so on is called rasajnaha, ityadi darshanat. And then he says, the word rasa is used in the 59th verse of second chapter to imply raga only, for rasaha ranjana rupaha sukshmaha. Very subtle in our bosom, in our consciousness, in the depth of our being, there are countless attachments. They are very subtle. We ourselves don't know what under the sun we are really attached to. But this rasa, to quote one last word from Adi Shankara's Bhashya, therefore we call him Bhagavan Bhashyakara. Tomorrow or day after is the Adi Shankara Jayanti too. Bhagavan Bhashyakara. The Vishishtadvaita is called Sri Ramanujacharya also as Bhagavan Bhashyakara. For Shankara, Madhva and Ramanuja, all three of them wrote Bhashyas, commentaries, explaining the Prasthanatraya, Geetā, Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, and so on. So add one more word, rasa. Rasaha Ranjana Rupa. That's what I wanted to quote the last from Bhashya. What is Ranjana? You and I know. Manoranjana. It's sort of stimulates us. This raga, though it is the womb of so much of sorrow, it, to begin with, generates a sense of happiness. Somebody is very attached to her dog, and as the dog comes running towards her, she's so happy, takes the dog on her lap and fondles the dog, and so on. So whether it is a human attachment to pets, to places, to food, to varieties of objects, it is all raga, rasa, rasaha, ranjana, rupaha, says Adi Shankara. It's closely related to moha, bhrama, bhrānti. I need not give the English words for it, for these words are there in all our Indian languages. It's marked by a sense of, this is very dear to me. I don't want to lose it, nor do I want it to leave me. And this means it could be an object, it could be a place, it could be a person, it could be a community, it could be an institution, it could be some trophy or medal that we have won. Oh, there are very many things or beings to whom you and I get attached. Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Geetā talks about the three gunas. In chapter 14, he says, Rajaha ragatmakam vidhi. So we get a peep into what makes this raga happen. How did it all begin? Why is it not going? Why is it, on the contrary, getting stronger by the day? Someone said after studying Vedanta, he has one more attachment now to Vedanta. So, an intense and sincere study of the Vedanta should help him or her get rid of many other attachments. In the Mahabharata, it is said, with the help of your attachment to Shastra or Guru or Ishvara, you will be able to get rid of countless other attachments, worldly attachments. And eventually, you let go of your attachment to Guru, Shastra, and Ishvara also. Yena tyajasi tatyaja. Leave that at the end. Leave that by which you had left many other things. Take the help of Guru Bhakti, Ishvara Bhakti, Shastra Bhakti, and you will succeed in rising above worldly attachments. There are so many examples from time immemorial, but the one from Srimad Bhagavatam is most striking. Bharata, who was a great rishi, very erudite, very good in knowledge of Shastras, good in his asceticism, in his tapas, everything, somehow he was about to get enlightened, almost there, but not quite. He got so attached to a deer, and he felt such compassion. He could not draw a dividing line between compassion and attachment. As we will talk about it a bit later, love and attachment also look very much alike, but they are not the same. Jada could not distinguish between karuna and raga. Day and night he started thinking about the deer, oh dear, as you say. And then when he died, in his next life he was born as a deer. But though he was born in the body of a deer, thanks to all the tapas that he had done before, Shravana, Manana, and Dhyana that he had done, he had vivid memories of his previous life. So he stayed on, he completed that dear life and got illumined. So raga ties us down, raga binds us down. Rajasastu phalam dukkham, says Sri Krishna uncompromisingly, I should say ruthlessly, in the chapter 14. If you just overlook the rajoguna in you, then you will be full of rāga, and then rajasastu phalam, rāgasya phalam, dukkham. Dhritarashtra was so attached to Duryodhana. And in the famous work called Vidura Niti, in the Mahabharata, there are some more than 500 shlokas. Lot of wisdom Vidura shares with Dhritarashtra. But all of that goes to waste. For after hearing all that and nodding at the right time everywhere, finally Dhritarashtra remains in the same position as before. No difference. In some languages, there is an expression. You play a musical instrument before a donkey. Of what use is that? There are many similar examples. No use. So Dhritarashtra was terribly attached. That's where you see his rāga to Duryodhana was also called putra moha. That's why in the earlier slide we said moha, bhrānti, bhrama. And on a higher level, of course, all these are the side products of one main culprit, spiritual ignorance, avidya. Maharshi Ramana would say, at the base, at the root of all your problems is a misconceived notion of who you are. Strike at that with the great question, Nanya. Koham, who am I? Mai kaun hu? Ask yourself and weaken the very sense of I am this, I am that, because all attachments revolve around a notion of I am this. A 58-year-old man somehow thought, I am such a handsome person standing before the mirror. And therefore, wherever he went to some party, he wanted the men and women over there to look at him with awe. What a handsome man. But people did not look at him like that. He wore the best dress. He even put some, what do you call that, perfume, etc. and cropped his hair. Every party, he went after a haircut that afternoon itself. Nobody cared. It was only he who imagined himself to be so good looking, charming, etc. and was hoping. So his desire that people will look at him, people would ask for a selfie with him, people would like to be around him, etc., was not fulfilled. He suffered. But why all that, first of all? He imagined he was handsome, he was youthful, and so on. So this may be a ridiculous example or humorous example. In 1,000 ways, you and I cling to an idea of who we are from the Vedanta perspective. All that is not true. Who am I? Is a question that helps us let go of false identifications and stay as the pure witnessing consciousness. In the Bhagavatam itself, I believe, I have not read it directly, there is a story of a king who was so attached to his son, whom he had got after a long time, after many years of his marriage, he and his wife, the queen, had got a boy, but that boy passed away at the age of 15 or so. And the king, who was otherwise a great dharmika, a great pious, virtuous person, he actually cried and implored the devas, let me at least see my son in the heaven for 2 minutes. Finally, the devatas took him to heaven and he met that son. But the son was not finding it easy to recognize this king as his father. The king was shocked. My son, don't you recognize me? I am your father. That boy was a very pious and virtuous person. And the boy said, sorry about it, O king. I'm sure I'm not telling a lie, but after coming to heaven, I am sort of able to recall my 100 of my past lives. I'm able to recall, if I want, my father of 100 previous lives. If you tell me in which period you are my father, I will try to recall the memories of that period of time. The father said, I was your father just last 20 years. And the son recorded, oh yes, yes, you are. How are you? So nice you came, and all that. But the father deep inside got disenchanted. Oh my, this is attachment. I think he is my son, all my life is him and nothing else. But for him, there are memories of 100 fathers of 100 previous lives. Oops. He just said, thank you. I'm so glad he came back and engaged in more and more of spiritual sadhanas. A mother is attached to her child. Sigmund Freud made a theory that fathers are more attached to daughters and mothers are more attached to sons, and so on. Ooh, there are countless trappings of attachment. Therefore, examples are not in shortage for attachment. Don't tell me, you talked about attachment. I'm not trying to find out whether I have any attachment or not. That means you have very poor ability to observe yourself. If you observe yourself properly, there are so many attachments. So the question, as we put it in synopsis also, why is nobody free from attachment? It's like going to a hospital, a number of people are on the sick beds. Oh, there are 120 beds in this ward, and I believe all the 120 are sick. Why is not a single person fully healthy among these people? If anybody was fully healthy, why would they be admitted in the hospital? Once somebody asked Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji, Swamiji, sorry to tell you this, some of your devotees are so egocentric. Rich people, well positioned in the society, you have made them president and secretary of the mission centers. And sorry to tell you, some of your Swami disciples also are very egoistic. Why do you keep such people around you? Swamiji, in his typical witty manner, said, you are asking a doctor, why do sick people come to the clinic? People who have no fever or cold or cough or stomach problem or leg pain or anything, they should come. A doctor should put a board outside. Only healthy people are welcome to my clinic. Does it ever happen? I will not mention the name. There was one lady disciple of his who was in orange robes also, who was a big headache in the ashram itself or wherever she went. Once some of us asked Puja Swamiji, Chinmayananji, why have you kept her with you and why did you give her orange robes in the first place? He had such humor. I was personally present there. I think I didn't ask the question. I dare not. Some other person had asked the question. I was standing there. Swamiji said, why I gave her sannyas and why I have accommodated her in my ashram is between her and me. She is my sadhana, he said. It is my sadhana. So, we are all sadhana to each other anyhow. Every husband is a sadhana for the wife. Every wife is a maha sadhana for the husband. Children are a sadhana. That means they make parents introspect, double check where they are. And parents are sadhana for children. Let's not go further on it. If we were totally free, we would not be born. Vedanta says our birth is because there are some attachments to be sorted out in our previous life, we could not clearly distinguish between love and attachment. And we mistook attachment to be love. So this life is back to school. Again, we need to learn. The intelligence in us has to wake up, clearing us from false attachments. So we see, today we have, with a certain spirit, like Puja Gurudev had, Sadguru Vasudev, he also speaks with chest up. Puja Swamiji also always spoke with such great confidence and a good orator. Though there are differences, Sadguru Jaggi Vasudev hardly refers to Geetā or Upanishad or Bhagavad in his own way. He deals with life's topics, but what he has said somewhere, I chanced upon it and included it in these slides. He said, being attached to someone is not about the other person. When there is the so-called attachment, it is about your own sense of inadequacy. You feel insecure, you feel lost, you feel your life has no meaning without that pet, without that spouse, without that offspring, or without. Or a scholar attached to his books also. You say to the scholar, I'm going to take away all these books. You must meditate more, stop studying. The scholar would say with folded hands, take anything. Take my wife away if you want, but my books, don't take my books away, right? So everybody is attached to something there is. So for we say here, love is caring, but attachment is dependence. Without the person or object to which you are attached, you feel you are a zero. With that person or object or place or title or something, you feel I am somebody. And every one of us is terribly afraid of becoming nobody. Vedanta says renounce and see for yourself, but we don't want to take a risk. If I renounce, then I will become nobody. I don't want to be a nobody. I want to be somebody. I want to be having certain description, certain position, certain status in the society. As a joke goes, if not anything, I would like to be the president of unemployed people in the town. An unemployed person was so sad, he was not having a job, no position, no status. And he formed a association of unemployed youngsters in the town and he made himself the president. So he has an answer now. Who am I? I am the president of the organization of unemployed youth in this town. So Ramana Maharshi's question, who am I, takes a back seat. This person answers that question by giving himself a title. He printed beautiful visiting cards also. President and the organization of unemployed people. So can we be free of dependence and yet care for others, care for ourselves too? Caring is love, but dependence is attachment. Then comes a question, is it possible that we have attachments, but we are good people basically. We don't dislike anybody. We have nothing against anybody. We only have a few attachments. I want my morning tea. I want nice breakfast. I want to listen to some good music. I want to go out, enjoy this, enjoy that. But it's all through my honestly earned money and I have nothing against anybody somebody claims. Philosophy says that is impossible. Where there is rāga, there has to be dvesha. This image I have also not fully understood, but some green leaves, etc., probably indicate rāga. And the thorns are the dvesha, maybe. Some symbolism seemed to be there, I just took it. How do you say where there is attachment, there is dvesha? Yeah, When you are attached to your car, somebody comes and causes a scratch on the car. You will grind your teeth. Who is this person? I'll move the court against him. I'll get him fined by the police. You will definitely have dvesha rising in you. You may think you are a very pious person, a good person. I am Mr. Good person in the town, you may say. Then somebody says, he's the ugliest or most vulgar fellow in these surroundings. Hearing that comment, your blood starts boiling because otherwise you had nothing against anybody, but you are very attached to your image. The self-image and Sakshat Yudhishthira of modern times, etc. That image was questioned by that person who made a nasty comment in some get-together last Saturday in your town. Either you yourself roll up your sleeves and want to do something against him, or you hope somebody would go slap him or something like that. Therefore, this is a package deal. Rāga and dvesha come together. Yeah, generally, in some of us, rāga might be showing up every day. The dvesha, which is always with the rāga, may show up occasionally. And there are some in whom dvesha is showing its ugly head, raising its ugly head every day. They are shouting, screaming, yelling, getting angry with X or Y. But that is because some rāga is in them. What they are attached to so much, making them scream and yell, once in a while surfaces. Everybody notices, oh, she is so attached to her vehicle or her looks or her imagination that she is very young, that she gets so angry when even there is a hint. Nobody has said openly, but there is a hint draft that you look old. One said those words, but some body language, some expression, some, the person gets very angry. Why did you come here? Who called you? Go. Sometimes the people don't welcome you also in their office or at their some place. They won't even call you a human being. Once in my some kind of generosity, I welcomed a fellow Indian in the Chinmaya Mission Center in San Jose. That fellow was a bit cranky. I should not have welcomed him. I honestly agree. He was a bit, crazy. He came, howdy, I am so and so, this and that. Can I come in? I said, come in. This center, the spiritual center is for all. He made his way to our office in the Chinmaya Mission Center. And then he asked me, can I use the internet? I tend to say yes quickly and later regret generally. So I said to him, oh, yeah. Because he introduced himself as a PhD and this and that, but many people who go to Western countries, etc., first they are very good, then some rise and some fall, everything happens. This fellow was in a confused state of mind. He started using the internet, using the printer over there, using this. By then, the secretary of the Chinmaya Mission walked in. And she looked at this man. Maybe she knew him already. She said, Swamiji, 1 minute. I went with her to another room. She said, how did this element come here today? Her face was so angry. Then I said, I met him first time today. He introduced himself as a very brilliant technical person from our country. So I encourage. Such people should not step in here. So, some of us express anger very often. There is rāga behind it. Some of us express our attachment very often. And associated with it, some dvesha, some anger, some screaming will happen once in a while. but both are traveling together. Now, our title also talks about possessiveness. What is possessiveness? Let's read the definition first. A heightened form of attachment. Possessiveness is a heightened form of attachment, where we not only feel, oh, this is so nice, I love it, I like it, but we feel that we own the object, or the person, or the place, or the institution, or the chair, whatever. We think we own it and cannot tolerate anybody else having any influence upon that object, that person, that book, that anything. In Golmaal, which I think got made again and again some 3 times, but most of us in this audience have seen the Hindi comedy Golmaal of 1970s, Amol Palekar and Vindhya Goswami. There, Vindhya's father, played by Utpal Dutt, makes a statement. He shouts at his daughter, "My darling, you will not marry the man whom you love. Listen carefully. I want you to marry the man whom I love." What a crazy statement. It's a comedy, hilarious, very hilarious. And I don't know how they again made it with some changes 2 times, I guess. But Golmaal of 1970s. The father insists that the daughter marry some young fellow whom he, the father, loves, and completely dismisses another man whom the daughter says, "But Papa, I love this person." "No, he's not good. You marry this person whom I love," and so on. Hilarious. Some husbands are so possessive of wives. Some wives are so possessive of husbands. Sometimes they even become suspicious. Newly married, there was a case in Bangalore. Newly married, but within a year, the husband was so suspicious. He would come back home from his work and wonder whether the wife is with somebody else and so on. It can happen with wives also suspecting the husband and so on in various ways. There are possessive department heads. Their staff, their equipment, their office material are all just theirs only. They will never share it with another department, though it's the same organization. So, as we say, possessive. Now, there was a terrific movie in 1990. I had a chance to see it somewhere in 97 or so. Of course, on a TV at home at the Mission Center in San Jose. Misery. Let me clarify. It is not normal possessiveness. Therefore, we have put it in brackets here. Possessiveness of a psychopath. And Kathy Bates won an Oscar for Best Acting for this movie. Kathy Bates, she is such an admirer in the movie. It's based on some novel which was published a few years before 1990. So the heroine,
it's a novel by Stephen King's.
correct, novel by Stephen King.
Yeah, Stephen King's Misery. Yeah.
Correct, Misery. That was made into a movie. So very powerful. I have no time, but I would not mind watching it once more. Other day I saw a trailer. I said, "Oh, I should revisit this movie," because so many years have passed. In that, very touching. She's a psychopath. Her brain is damaged. So it's not normal case of possessiveness. It's possessiveness of a psychopath. So she loves this author, his novels, his works, his words, every sentence, everything. And she lives in some distant jungle-like area. And to make the long story short, this famous author one day was driving and somehow loses his control and he falls into a ditch between trees, and that is the neighborhood of a distant unknown village where this lady lives. She comes there and sees who is fallen here. To her joy, it is the author of novels whom she adores. She says, "Oh, this is God sent." And he was badly wounded, badly injured. And she takes him home. That home is in a jungle, nobody goes there, but very well furnished and that. And she takes all care of him. She is so happy. The person whom I adore is now with me, and so on. And as the picture shows here, point comes where the author gets okay, gets better, and he wants to go back now to his town, wherever. He wants freedom. She says, "You are not going anywhere. You will be with me. I will take all care of you," and so on. So a point comes, the picture shows here, when once he tries to escape, being a psychopath, brain is damaged. She goes to the extreme. She got so furious. So that very author of the novels whom she adores causes so much anger in her that you try to escape, and with a big axe, she cuts his feet. That's the picture I have shown here. He is unable to move. He is now caught. But anyhow, at the end of the movie, he somehow manages to kill her by putting some heavy something upon her. And in between, some police inspector, some XY, etc., had tried to find out. They come, and she, in America, everybody has a gun. This girl kills them also. She kills a police inspector. That movie will make you, can human brain go to this extent? And Kathy Bates, I haven't seen any other movie by her. I don't know much about her, or for that matter, English movies. I've seen just a few English movies in my life. This was one of them. She acted with so much passion. Therefore, the Hollywood honored her, or the Academy honored her with an Oscar. So Geetā says, our mind is like that. It can go to heights of divinity, pure love, or it can go to such destructive attachment also. Pramāda moha tamasaha. Possessiveness is a lot of tamas because one doesn't see. One doesn't see. I say I love this author. I love his works. But the lady doesn't see that she is actually destroying him. So, with this, we have touched upon attachment and possessiveness a little bit. Perhaps many of you are a little depressed now. My God. So, life is attachment. We are all caught. Is there any good news that Swamiji will share with us? The last slide is good news. And not my news. Bhagavan Sri Krishna has said it. Bhagavan Sri Krishna says in the 61st verse of second chapter, your negativities, kama, krodha, raga, dvesha, lobha, moha, insecurity, fear, anxiety, depression, regrets, all of them are because you are constantly feeding the ego in you, renewing your negativities. All you need to do is really, you don't have to do anything. Don't feed. How can we not feed the habitual tendencies in us? As the first bullet says, how can we keep attachment within acceptable limits and continue to walk the path of spiritual quest without much problems? So 2.61 says, Yukta asita matpara. On your own, if you are unable to let go of your attachment or possessiveness or any other negativity, on your own you can't do one thing, just to hold God. Yukta means united. Matparaha means totally devoted to God. God is saying, be devoted to me. Asita, one should stay. And following that, 62 and 63 in their original form, every one of you knows, those two verses are where Sri Krishna describes how every one of us tends to get more and more caught in worldliness. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kama kama krodha kama krodho vijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammoha smriti bhrama smriti bhramshat buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. A lot of us know it by heart. Many of us have read it 100 times, but our attachments have not come down. In those two verses only, if you find the opposites, you will find the ladder to climb high. Otherwise, it is the way to fall. So just the first half of the first shloka, Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate. Sanga is attachment. It's all out of some curiosity, out of some, maybe you had nothing else to do, you tried out something, and an attachment, sanga, developed. No matter what you are attached. Now do one thing. Instead of thinking, dhyayate here is thinking, continued thinking. Somebody was passing in front of a cinema theater. He did not have money, good old days, poverty and so on. It must be great. They say the movies are wonderful. He is thinking. Then he gets attached. Somehow he finds the money to buy a ticket and go and see the movie. Then one more time. And later on, he can't live without watching movies. So sanga leads to kama, kama leads to other. So in place of vishayan dhyayataha, put harim dhyayataha. Dhyayatascha harim pumsaha viraktir vishaye sthita. This is our modification. We have altered the half shloka. If you and I, to begin with 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Sometimes when you are working, you may take a tea break, a green tea break. You may take some break of some kind. Some people just lie down with maybe a little piece of cloth on their eyes. All right, do that. That's all good. But take a hurry break. Just for 3 to 4 minutes, repeat your mantra. Om Namo Narayana. Om Namo. Think more and more of Hari. So as you dhyayataha, not vishayan dhyayataha, vishayanam dhyanam kurvataha. No. Harim dhyayataha pumsaha. Pumsaha means of a man, of a lady, of a seeker. Then vishaye virakti sthita. Jayate is meant. So the same you and me who otherwise felt horrible, we can never change, we will never improve. Ours is a gone case. In this way, we feel so low about ourselves at times. But do this more and more. Take hurry breaks, not tea break, or along with tea break. More and more hurry break. Hurry. Hurry. Smaran karo. There is a bhajan. Hari charan kamal dhyan karo. Murali madhav seva karo. Murahara giridhari bhajan karo. There is a bhajan. Hari smaran karo. Hari charan kamal dhyan karo. Murali madhav seva karo. Murahara giridhari bhajan karo. Right, there is a bhajan. I had joined the Pawai Ashram in 1984. And within a month, I heard this bhajan. There was a classmate of mine from Vancouver, Canada, Robin Thompson, white lady, and with a slight accent of the Westerners. She sang that. And everybody liked it. Then I found it was there in our little Balvihar guide, etc. Hari, smaran karo. So without going to all those, this is the good news, friends. It's possible for us. Start small, grow big. No matter how many times you have fallen, no matter how messed up you think your life is, taking your hands to both sides of your head, you may say, my life is totally messed up. No, don't say that. Start this. Take the medicine, Sri Krishna Divya Aushadham. Then you will find you don't have to push attachment out. Like a plant which is not watered, this attachment, not fed much, dies a natural death. And you will discover pure love, free of any dependence. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Dr. Sonpal has something to share. Daniel A. Hughes has written several books on benefits of positive attachments for human brain. That's right. One of the titles is Attachment Focused Parenting. Effective Strategies to Care for Children. Oh, how nice. I will definitely look up this book. Yeah, actually, that we must give credit to a whole lot of Western thinkers and so on. Therefore, we sometimes say that they have the negative way of we used to call them materialistic, but the positive way is they respect the relationships, everything. They don't hastily talk about walking away from family life, walking away from wealth and pleasure, etc. They other like this title itself. Thank you for sharing that. Positive attachment. How every relationship with children, with spouse, with gurus, with disciples, with neighbors, everything can be a source of joy when it is handled in it. So I look up this book, please others also note it. There is this wonderful book, Attachment Focused Parenting, Effective Strategies to Care for Children. Let's see whether there are some other voice disturbance. Hope that voice disturbance is gone now. Apparently there was some voice disturbance. Okay, somebody might want to ask questions with using the mic. Please turn your mic on and then speak.
Hari Om Swamiji Subramaniam.
Hari Om.
Yeah, is having Ishta Devata a form of strong attachment?
Ishta Devata is a strong attachment that can be developed, and that is the medicine. To have an Ishta Devata. In fact, sometimes we say in our lectures that Hindus, they respect so many god forms, and then they don't decide whom to worship on a regular basis. So we urge Hindus, respect all god forms, but have one as Ishta Devata and practice that devotion with due respect to other forms. Suppose you have chosen Hanuman as your Ishta Devata. Every time you get 2-3 minutes or even 10-15 minutes, do Hanuman meditation. But your wife takes you to a Krishna temple, enjoy the Krishna Arati. No problem. So that's the Hindu spirit. It is not to, Hindu spirit is not to discourage us from getting attached to one form of God. Rather, it encourages us, have an Ishta Devata.
Swamiji, Hari Om.
Yeah.
I have a small, I would say, my own self insight as to what happened. Just a few days back, I just panicked for a small thing, Swamiji. So my son always, he's in college, by the way. And then we have a family group where every morning we just send Hare Krishna once we wake up, So he generally texts us by about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, maximum 10:30. And that particular day, he didn't text up until 11:15 a.m. in the morning.
Okay, yeah.
And then I was working and I went into a panic mode.
Oh,
Yeah. So I was like thinking all sorts of things, and then I just got worried. It was just as simple as that he was doing a project and he slept late. And he woke up late because his class started very late in the afternoon. So I was just analyzing my own behavior, and I was just talking to my children about it. I have grown-up children. And my son was telling me, I mean, Amma, you hear so much about Bhagavad Gita. So why didn't you imply some of that? At that point in time, it is so hard, Swamiji. I mean, is it attachment? Is it because, I love him so much? Or is it because the worldly thing that is going on that I sort of panic? Because just in the morning, I read that there was an Indian guy, a master's, who just did his master's from India. I mean, he was here in the US, and then he was shot in a gas station. So all these negative thoughts just combines in your mind, and then that brings out this panic.
Yeah, that's it.
So
So actually, I should have said this in the lecture itself. In the case of most of us, it's mixture of love and attachment. So as a mother, you have a lot of love for your son. And then there is that component of attachment, dependence, and that causes a lot of this anxiety, etc., to arise. But that anxiety is quite justifiable because a lot of wrong things are happening the world over in various ways. But if you were to have greater devotion to God, greater abidance in that bhakti, then also anxiety would arise, but you will handle it far better. So anxiety is part of life. Till our last breath, you and I will have anxiety about some matter. But if we are spiritually mature, we will handle that anxiety in much more gracious way.
thank you, Swamiji.
Yeah. So we should not look down at our fears or anxiety, etc. That's part of life.
So Swamiji, this is a sadhana for all of us who were born here, because if there's no attachment, we would not be born here. So it's a sadhana.
Right.
So I do have one question. How to help somebody who's not even on the spiritual path, whatever status, their mind and the family health, how to help the person to see the attachment and love difference? Because that person is not even listening to your talk or not in the state at this time.
If somebody is not into spirituality, that only means he or she is not familiar with the spiritual jargon.
Yes.
So you and I may use certain words particular to, like God, like soul, like self-knowledge. Those may not mean anything to him. However, he is also spiritual in his own way. So what you may do with him is, number one, listen more to him. That is, let him pour out. Let him, listen doesn't mean I'm saying obey, etc. Listening means let him speak up, let him or her. And here and there you ask some questions, or you really think so, etc. That is to make him open up more. So to help that person open up will be the best way to introduce detachment in that person, because he has a narrow view. By gently and affectionately asking questions, that person will be widening his own view. Like I say to you, you know what? Nothing matters more to me than good movies, especially Hindi movies I like, old Hindi movies, Rajesh Khanna and Amitabh Bachchan. Suppose, then you listen carefully. Don't give me advice, because our ego gets hurt if you advise us. You gently say, that's wonderful to know. I too love those old movies. But of late, there is some classical music. And have you ever heard a piece of classical music by Subbalakshmi or somebody you say. And very, just like a friend, you ask that person, they welcome it. And then they may explore that. Yeah, I used to, but recently I have not heard. That evening he may hear. And then say, yeah, how come it's a long time I kept away from classical music. Anita was so right. She brought me back to another taste or hobby of mine, etc. So let that urge to explore something else arise from that person upon you are just providing a stimulus. So when we do not sermonize, but we raise some gentle questions like a friend, it works far better. In modern times, even small children, don't listen to us. I'm trying to teach Sanskrit to one boy in Bangalore. He doesn't allow me to complete my instruction. He says, I will tell you. This is like this. It is not like that, my dear boy, I say. Oh, but then what? So in class sometimes I wonder whether I am teaching Sanskrit to him or he is teaching Sanskrit to me. So small boy onwards, people don't want to listen, take sermons.
Thank you so much.
Okay, someone else also began, but it got a little bit interrupted. Who was asking a question?
Swami
Swamiji.
Subramaniam. Sorry, you go ahead.
It's okay. Please carry on. Mine was
yeah.
only.
Oh, okay. I have one more question. Attachment to Guru. You said initially there should not be, ultimately there should be, that should be overcome also. And sometimes the cult behavior, I want your comments on that, attachment to Guru and the
cult behavior and that excessive attachment to Guru, that has a problem, almost like that movie, Misery. That Kathy Bates' role, her name is different in the movie. The actor's name is Kathy Bates. So that goes to say, in cult, sometimes horrible things happen. Violence takes place. Murder takes place. So when Osho, established his group in the state of Oregon, these things started going wrong one after another. Cult. And one lady who was his secretary tried to kill some white guys. So she thought that they were trying to kill Osho. She had her own reason. And then finally she had to run for life. There's Osho's life. So cult means blind faith and too much of emotions. Therefore, sometimes these traditional ways are good. Daily you must do japa, you must do prayer. Don't. In cults, sometimes people try to take a shortcut. So teachers like Swami Paramarthanandji say, don't take shortcut. Be humble and do the time-tested spiritual practices. Sit 1 hour and do japa, and go to a temple and pray there. Don't say, I know no Brahma Vidya. Sometimes these cult people, in their own way, like the expression goes, they take law in their hands. Right. So finally, in summary, I would say our relation to our Guru, our relation to spirituality, etc., needs to be periodically re-examined. Mid-course corrections have to be brought in place. Okay, over to Jyoti.
Yeah, so much.
Yes, Hari Om Swamiji. I was just reading one of the notes here. Love is caring, attachment is dependence. And I believe I heard from you, it's the opposite of love is not hate, it's rather fear. Opposite of love is fear, and that love is coming from possessiveness. It's another form of possessive. Correct? Yeah.
Yeah. That's what Swami Chinmayananji said in one of his lectures very loudly. What's the opposite of love? He said, no one replied. Then he said, it's not hatred, it's fear. Yeah. But there are lofty statements with some subtleties involved in them. But otherwise, on a lower plane, where there is love, there is no hatred. Love and hatred are opposites. But deeper level, if you scratch the surface, when there is no love, there is lot of fear. Finally, these are all, so many books and they prompt us. We need to find out for ourselves what's going on in us. No book and no model may represent what is happening with us.
Right.
So a book should neither give us a false notion that, oh, today I understood after reading this book. May not be. Nor should it depress us that it's so complicated, I am lost. Don't worry, keep the book away. Read a little is okay, because books sometimes stimulate us to think. But finally, as J. Krishnamurti would say, your life is the best book that you need to read. Look at your life without any bias, dispassionately.
Swamiji, I have a quick question because I just heard. So this in yoga, we have chakras and love, hate, fear, they are all one part of one chakra, heart chakra, and greed is a different chakra. I was wondering, this thought just came to me, is the attachment part of, is it like a greed in a different form, or is it love in a different form? I think
they're all interrelated. So I don't know that model. I'm sure attachment also is put on one of the levels. And higher you go, the attachment reduces. They're all interrelated. It's like a crystal with many faces. You rotate the crystal, you see another face of it. It's one crystal. So one ego has many facets. So which facet at a given point of time you are gazing at decides your sense of what it is. We'll take a last question and then close for now. I hope there is no question left in the chat box. Sanskrit word for possessiveness, someone has asked. Okay. Right now I can say Vishesha mamakāra. Mamakāra is this is mine. Vishesha mamakāra, or Atishaya mamakāra. It's a mamatva, mamatā or mamatva. Saying that this is mine, don't touch it. This is my dress, it's my paper, my pen, don't touch it and so on. So Vishesha mamakāra could be the possible word. All right. So we will take more psychological topics, and it looks like all of you identify with it. Even I like it because it stirs up things, and then you yourself are able to understand how you are living. Am I attached? Am I loving? Am I caring? Am I dominating? Am I domineering? There's so many words. We get lost in the maze of words. But don't worry. Hold hurry. Do not worry. Om Namah Shivaya.